talked about theoretical trades enough. We finally have one to announce. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Walter Clayton, Florida legend, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. I have many questions. Let's talk about it. My first question, why are the Jazz doing this? The Grizzlies selling makes perfect sense. Getting rid of Vince Williams, I'm not quite sure about that, but maybe they're not bit into him being part of the future. Sure, him and John Morant clearly had some tiff. Either way, why would the Jazz trade for Jaren Jackson? For me, I don't know. I still can't really make sense of it. The way I think about it now is like their team's better, but is this a playoff-ready team? I'm not quite bid on that. If I look at their starting 5 now, we're looking at Keontae George at the 1, at the 2, Ace Bailey, and then at the 3 we go Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Nurkic. Maybe that's their starting 5. I would assume because Jaren needs a 5-man next to him, and it allows Lauri to go back to his best position, I would say, which is the small forward spot. My big question for the Jazz, though, like I said, is this team really ready to just jump right into into a competitive state right now? Is this roster ready? Let's look at their actual roster and decide that. I already announced their starting 5 for you. Keontae George. At the 2 is probably going to be Ace Bailey. And then at the 3, we're going to go to Lauri Markkanen. And then 4 is Jaren Jackson. 5 is Yusuf Nurkic. The starting 5 doesn't sound bad. They had some depth pieces, I guess, if you count the fact that they got John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams. John Conchar is a respectable backup center who's been shooting the 3 well this year and is kind of one of those, like, gritty centers, you know? And I'm not talking about the dance. I'm talking about, like, he's a guy where it's like his game is ugly, very ugly, but he's physical and he can rebound a little bit. He gets the job done as a backup 5-man. He reminds me of like smaller Yusuf Nurkic, except he's, like I said, he's shooting the 3 very well from 3. Shooting the 3 well from 3. Good job, Matt. Either way, Vince Williams is also a part of this trade. How old is V-Dub? I got to look that up. 25. I mean, he's not young, but like I wouldn't per se call him an elder statesman. I don't know. And I guess this is the really confusing part for me is like John Conchar hasn't played, obviously, but like the package that the Grizzlies got back is probably more than I thought they would have gotten for Jaren Jackson. The 3 future first-round picks, especially from the Jazz. Again, I'm just so confused. I like the fit, but at the same time, for Memphis, I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten a younger player, something, a Bryce Sensabaugh to get excited about. You know, the young guys they got back, like Walt Clayton, has shown some signs this year, don't get me wrong. Just saw his middle name is Marteri. I have no idea. Either way, he's had some ups and downs. You look at the efficiency, not great. Sub 40 from the field, sub 31 from 3. Not pretty. 7 and 3, only 1.3 turnovers. He's had some high highs and some low lows, don't get me wrong. I think he's an all right defensive player for his size. Not overall, for his size. He holds up. Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks, a young guy I guess you can get excited about, has close to, I mean, he's the closest thing to Jared Vanderbilt I can think of in this league. Not a traditional 4, but like a 4-man nowadays, can't shoot, you know, doesn't really do a lot on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, he can clamp up. I don't think George Niang has played this season, like, at all. And 3 future first-round picks, it's a steal. I don't get it from the point of the Jazz, though, man. It really feels like, where are they in the standings? Hold on. 15 and 35, 20 under. Not a great place to be at. They're 1-9 in their last 10. And out of the play-in spot, I guess they're only like 7. What's that? Yeah, 8 back of Portland for the 10 spot. Why the fuck are you buying? Danny Ainge, what are we doing, dude? Why are we buying now? I thought this was a good development year. You tank it out. I guess it depends on what first-round picks you get back, but even then, I'm still like, they can't be worth it. Maybe this is for next season, but even for next season, I guess Walker Kessler's back. That would help him out a little bit more, I guess. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like the time to be buying when we're 20 games under, 8 games back from the play-in, not the playoffs, the play-in. And on top of that, Like, again, you still have to wait for Walker Kessler to get back next season. Yusuf Nurkic is the starting center, and there's no guarantee this team's going to be good. I guess the starting five makes a little bit more sense the more I think about it, because you have Keontae George. Now you have bigger guys behind him that can help cover up defensively. Jaren, Ace Bailey can help be a good defender, I guess. Lauri Markkanen can play good defense at the 3, and then you get Walker Kessler back. That's your inside presence. Their starting five for next year might be something good. It really depends on what future first-round picks they gave up too. Still hasn't said what picks have come out yet, but overall, I think this is a good deal for Memphis, because Memphis now has like 9 first-round picks. They're stockpiling the first-round pick assets, which is the right mentality to have if you're going into a rebuild, and I like a rebuild for Memphis in this spot. Don't get me wrong, Ja Morant should be next. You're not going to trade Jaren and not trade Ja, right? That's at least my thought. You can't trade the guy who's been consistently there, consistently really good, for a guy who has not been consistently there and has not been consistently good, and they're about in the same age range, so it's not like there's an age gap here. I don't know. I think I view this as a win for Memphis, because like I said, they now have like 7 first-round picks. Here it is from Bobby Marks. Memphis now has 13 in 7 years. Like I said, they have stockpiled draft compensation, and they're doing a really damn good job at it. So for Memphis, you just got to keep on the selling, the sell spree, the fire sale. Keep getting picks and stockpiling. It's ass. Trust. We all understand. Tanking, it sucks for a fan base. But like, even the healthy core of this team, it might have worked if Zach Edey was healthy. Zach Edey has not been healthy. So they want to restart, ground zero this full thing, and then rebuild it the way they want to. And 3 first-round picks is a hell of a building block. Walter Clayton is a project that could be a starting point guard, maybe. Don't know quite yet. Taylor Hendricks, again, like I said, he's the most Jared Vanderbilt player of all time. That's not Vando. If you want to see what I mean by he's very Vanderbilt, 5 points, 3 rebounds. He shoots 34 from 3, which is actually respectable and up from last year, although last year he did turn his leg into an L-pipe. It was a very ugly injury. He's still only 22, 23 years old, so there's some upside there for him, don't get me wrong. I don't view him as like a potential, offensive piece in the future, but 3-and-D wing is never a bad thing to have around at that age. I guess I really just still don't understand it from the Jazz perspective. You take this lottery pick this year, let's say they draft someone top 5. They draft a Darren Peterson, a Cam Boozer, or someone like that, even DeBonsa. Where does he fit into this now? Where does he fit into this team? Is if they get the number 1 pick, let's say they don't trade their own first. Let's say their 2026 isn't a part of this deal, and they still draft first overall. You can take DeBonsa. You could take Darren Peterson. He just had that crazy game the other day. Where does he fit in this time? Does he come off the fucking bench? Does Ace Bailey come off the bench? I don't know. Assuming they keep their own first-round pick, it really just is going to be a ton of, it's a solidified starting 5, and now you're just going to have your 3rd overall pick coming off the bench. They traded their first-round pick this year for Jaren. Well, congratulations, Grizzlies fan. You just landed a top 5 pick, because Jaren going to Utah right now, in my opinion, doesn't change their season that much. I think they're going to be a better team, because Jaren's an all-star caliber guy. Can shoot the 3, can get downhill, is great in the post, loves to spin left, can finish with both hands. Jaren is a very, very, very good player. All-star caliber, all-NBA caliber almost, right? But the Jazz are not in a position to win today, especially with the starting center rotation of Yusuf Nurkic and Jock Landale. That's still not great, even though Yusuf has had some big games recently. I thought Yusuf was going to be on the trade market too. I guess he still could be. He still probably should be. Yusuf Nurkic should be on the trade market at this point. I think overall with this trade, I want to keep the video shorter. With this trade, I think the Grizzlies did a really good job getting 3 first-round picks for a guy that wasn't going to be there, doesn't match their timeline, and it's the end of this core for the Grizzlies. You can finally wash your hands of the ugly end to this core. Ja Morant arguing with people and stuff like that, and just constant turmoil over there. Jaren was never a part of that. I'm not going to sit here and say Jaren was a BS or anything like that. Jaren's all about basketball, and I love that. But it's nice to see them kind of go into this new era with a bunch of new faces soon. And how do you start that? Like every team going into a rebuild should. You trade your star end players for as many first-round picks as you can. And you get some young players back in those trades. Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton. I know, like I said, neither one has really shown to be spectacular players, but they're still young guys you can give opportunity to. And we can flip side this for Utah, maybe next year. Next year could be their year. You know, Walker Kessler, I believe, is an RFA, so they're going to have to re-sign Walker Kessler. But maybe you do that on a lesser deal because he's been hurt. From there, if they keep their first-round pick this year, you're really looking at a decent core. Like, Keontae George could have been an all-star. If you told me Keontae George made it as an all-star reserve, I'd have believed you because he was that damn good this year. Also, you see Isaiah Collier is now trending. Why? I don't know. He's their most traditional point guard on the roster, but he can't make a free throw. So that's a little bit of an issue. What a time to bring this up, too. Utah bill would allow concealed guns at Delta Center games. I'll say if this doesn't work and the Jazz are bad next season, watch out. Watch out. And I'm not saying they're going to be using it on the crowd of people. You just might have a group S word in the arena. Like, if this doesn't work out. What an awful time for me to scroll onto this. Wow, what a time for this. So we're going to have both Jaren Jackson and guns at the Delta Center. It's going to be an insane environment. I don't want to mention anything else about shootings in Utah, though. Final thoughts, Danny Ainge, what are you cooking? Nobody knows. If you smell what the Ainge is cooking, and nobody knows what he's cooking. He's a mysterious guy, and ever since that Brooklyn Nets trade, he's always been afraid to push the bounds on a star trade and to make a big trade for a star. You really look at the Celtics' tenure under Danny Ainge. They made the really big signing to go get Gordon Hayward, but post that, like, they refused to trade for Anthony Davis. They refused to trade for Paul George. He didn't want to make any star-level trades for a good while, and he didn't. And that's what kind of led to his, like, slowly fading out with Boston, was this unwantingness to trade picks and to go get a star-level player to pair with your young guys. Well, guess what? He has young guys in Utah, you know, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen is kind of young still. But you go get a star. He's finally done it. He's swung for a star. Maybe it's not the star you wanted, but in the matter of 2 trades, the Memphis Grizzlies have netted 8 first-round picks, Bane, and 3 for Jaren. Props to Danny Ainge for going to get his guy, even though I don't personally love it that much. It's not my favorite trade I've ever seen. I'm kind of sad to see Jaren go to Utah instead of a team that maybe actually has the infrastructure to win right now. But it'd be a fun pairing. You know, Keontae George fit with Jaren Jackson. Keontae gets a better backline defender because his defensive metrics have looked terrible this year. I don't know, guys. Talk to me down below. I still feel very weird about this trade. Danny Ainge, you're a confusing individual. If you've enjoyed this video, you should like and subscribe. Stay tuned because more trades are coming, and I will be here to cover them all. I'm going to go catch the game. See you guys in the next one.